We have heard about women, we have heard about the fish, we have heard about the youth. What do we do? What are we doing to get them involved in our programs and projects to mitigate and build resilience against climate change? This particular slide is in a church. It's a Seventh-day Adventist church in Antigua, and that's just a small representative of the 35 young men and women on the 18 that's involved in 2 climate change projects in Antigua. This is one of the elders in the church, and he sees the need for the elders in the church with their knowledge, with their understanding of issues, to bring it to the young people. This church is engaged in building a community system. We have gone through 27 months of drought in Antigua, and it's not easy. 3 days for a week you may have water. There are many poor households that don't even have an outside water backup resource. They depend every day going to a standpipe to get water. So this church provided the land, and the Jeff Small Grants provided $50,000 to pay for the cement, the steel, the sand. These are expensive aggregates in Antigua. But this church, and church have lots of people with lots of resources. And in this church is an engineer, and he designed the cistern. The elders thought it wise to not just build a system, but in the process to develop skills for these young men. So every Sunday morning from 7 to 2 p.m. they meet at the church, and the elders in the church who have construction skills, they teach them how to, they started with the steel, so they're tying steel, they're showing them how to bend them, because at the end of the day, these young employed guys will get work in the construction sector. So this is a way that we are actually involving youths in a village in an adaptation to drought, building a community cistern, 100,000 gallons, and it will benefit the 5,000 people that live in that village called Potters. Okay, this is Freetown at the eastern end of Antigua. This woman is called Rosita. Again, another dry community. And when you reach a stage where you don't have water, you begin to get miserable, right? But this woman, she remembered her parents talking about a reservoir built in the 1600s. And that was how they used to get water. Each family was given 2 buckets of water, and they had a guard at the entrance to the reservoir. He knew everybody in the village, so if you try to come back later with another bucket, he'd say, no, you got already. So she remembered this reservoir, and she asked, she went around asking, where's this reservoir? Because we were looking, we couldn't find it. When we went, it was covered with so many trees and forage because it hadn't been used for over 100 years. So little by little, the community people, that drought, that problem brought the community together, and they started clearing. If you see the amount of big tree trunks that was on this spillway, a concrete spillway leading from the hill right to the reservoir, and they were able to clean it. They burnt the tree stumps, they got coal, and what was left was a lot of black soil. They eventually cleared it away, put it into the garden area, and today, I don't know if I have the, okay, but today they have a functioning spillway, concreted spillway, leading the water to the reservoir that has about 200,000 gallons of water. In addition, that water is used to support a community garden right next to the reservoir area. And the people with animals, they can come there and get the water. So that's another process of how an idea from someone in a community using traditional knowledge and collective actions of the community is adapting to the drought condition. As a result of that particular project, Antigua is small, so word, people talk, things got around, and to this day we have 10 communities that have come forward wanting to clean their springs, wanting to restore the reservoirs. It's a big cost, as I said, steel alone, can take your budget. So what we have done, we sent a concept to the Caribbean Development Bank through the Environment Division, because CDB wants to see the management structure, and I think they think NGOs, don't have that particular management structure. But in effect, when we work out the costs, the in-kind support is 5-to-1. The inputs and the resources coming from the local communities and the church far outseed the cash outlay. So they have approved the concept, so soon we hope to be able to restore reservoirs in 10 communities. So at least we know water is there, and even if you have to take the bucket or get how much buckets a day, we can manage. Now this picture here, when we have the groups together, we don't just bring them together for an activity. We have to empower these groups, we have to build up capabilities. So the Environment Division in Antigua, this is a picture with our focal point, organizing training. This particular one was social media, because we have to get the information that the groups are doing out. We have to get it to the media, we have to get it into our proposals. So she organized a session how we can use social media to make our programs known, to advertise and for fundraising. And in addition, most of the community groups in the community, they don't really have a center to use. We can use the churches, our schools. So if we want to bring everybody together, we use their conference room, and they help us with administrative scanning and other facilities to make things go on. Okay, this is another church. As you see, Antigua is using not only the old traditional communities, we are using the church, we are getting them actively involved in development work. And as I said, inside the churches are lots of skills and resources. You see, when these people work, you say in the government sector or the private sector, they do it for a living, they're paid to do it. But when their facility, their church is involved in a development project, they go that extra mile. This particular church called Precision Center, they set up a hydroponic system. Every week, they have 1,500 heads of lettuce that some hotel is coming to buy. And what they do, they have this system uses a limited water supply, and they have a solar system on the roof that provides the 24-hour supply to keep this system going. And they ordered this system, the technicians in the church installed it, they won in the show. In addition, this church, we also got some funding for them. They got 11 acres of land, they planted 900 trees, and because again, how they develop the watering system, it's kind of out in the country. Each community member takes the responsibility 3 days a week. They divide it up to carry the water in plastic bottles to make sure these fruit trees are planted. So this was 18 months ago, and all the trees are still up and doing very well. So it's important when we do these projects, we have the ideas, you need the wide collective support of your members or your community to keep them going, to keep them moving. And by so doing, you're motivating other communities, other people in Antigua to the areas. And so a lot of people come, school children, they want to see this project at the OECS Climate Change Fair. We had a small model system set up. Many schools now, we have a lot of requests coming in. So, I think one more picture. Okay, another project that we have in Antigua where the animals are dying of drought is the donkeys. There are 150 donkeys that are brought together in a sanctuary, but no water. When APA takes out, our utility company locks off the water, what happens? So how we assisted this particular group, there was a pond on site, we cleaned it, the engineer decided it could be, broadened and reshaped, and it is holding water. In addition, these donkeys eat every blade of grass. It's bare. So we are hoping with the pond having some water that we can start to grow some grass in the areas for feeding them. As you would expect, I can't do it alone. I have my role. A lot of groups call, they come to me, can you help with this? I then have to meet with the community development officers who are responsible for the areas. This is the request, how can we do it? And eventually I would find a donor or get in touch with people who I see can look into fund these stuff, and I help them in writing the proposals. So it's not just building up groups. Many times we say, I will try and help, and then you leave the group hanging. But you have to follow through when these groups come to you. You have to show commitment. You have to go the extra mile to make sure that these requests, otherwise they lose faith and confidence in you. And that's why I'm here at COP. I'm looking to build partners. I want to share what we're doing in Antigua, because we are determined to be able to try to solve our problems using our community's knowledge, using their input. It's a partnership, because even if you provide the funds, in Antigua you have the other agencies that are coming together to make sure it happens. And that's what I'm saying today. That's why what's this forum? Concrete actions. We need to leave here with concrete actions of what we're going to do in our local communities to help them to adapt. Therefore, not only is the country vulnerable, but the women and the youth very vulnerable, and all of us must commit to doing our best to help to alleviate the problems in our countries. Thank you.